President Biden says that he wants bipartisan support, but the two sides really seem far apart. Does it look like this will happen?
With respect to Joe Biden, he has always been someone who has pushed for bipartisanship. That's basically the legacy of his career throughout his time in Congress, as well as his time as vice president to Barack Obama. What we have right now is a Republican regime that just refuses to meet the American people where they are, that refuses to meet the needs of the millions of Americans who are out of work, the millions of Americans who by March 14th will no longer have employment insurance. We have an issue right now, or unemployment insurance. We have an issue right now where the urgency is now. And Republicans are more willing to continue to stall rather than make sure that Americans receive those $1,400 emergency checks. Make sure that there is assistance provided for businesses as they still battle COVID restrictions. Make sure that those COVID vaccines get into the arms of the millions of Americans, many of whom are Black or Latino in communities that are underserved who have yet to receive those vaccines, even though many of them are the seniors, are the workers who also work with seniors, or the people who live in these assisted living facilities who have not received that vaccine yet. I think that what we're seeing from Republicans is a lot of obstruction. We're seeing them count their chickens before they hatch when it comes to the next election cycle and the midterms, and they're using this time and time again to stop Democrats from moving forward on something that benefits Americans who, quite frankly, are suffering beyond measure right now.
Yeah, it really is astounding during a global pandemic that this kind of posturing is going on. But let's move on. President Biden made his first foreign policy speech since taking office. What were his key takeaways today?
The key takeaways from Biden's speech, and I was thrilled to have watched that live, is that diplomacy matters. President Biden is bringing diplomacy back into our foreign policy sphere. He is speaking about the allegiances and re-strengthening and restructuring those alliances that matter so much, not only with NATO, but with countries outside of them as well, countries that we've depended upon for years, not for economic advancement, but also in terms of leaning on them for a lot of their intelligence, specifically as it relates to foreign threats. And I think that what we've seen over the past 4 years is an isolationist president and former President Trump who thought that America could go it alone, who chose to chastise other nations rather than build and to showcase strength through diplomacy. I think that what we saw from Biden is a return to an understanding of what diplomacy means, how it strengthens America. It's not something that makes us weak. And that diplomacy is the name of the game if you really want to have a strong foreign policy strategy. And I think that choosing Anthony Blinken and making sure that we have an acknowledgement of where we stand makes so much sense. And that President Biden is showcasing what we knew about him already, that he is someone who understands foreign policy. He is someone who has long-standing relationships with leaders of foreign nations. And he's someone who people have come to believe is the namesake when it comes to our foreign policy obligations. That's one of the main reasons why former President Obama chose him as his vice president. The foreign policy chops of Joe Biden are unquestionable. They are very strong. And I think that when we look at diplomacy and what that means as we move forward, 2021 and beyond, there's a lot of cleaning up that has to be done. There's a lot of cleaning up from the past 4 years, but Joe Biden and his administration are up to the task.
Absolutely. I mean, the outpouring of people who have been online giving their comments, many cheers from other parts of the world, from people around the world who have always looked to America as a leader, and they hadn't seen that in the past 4 years. But President Joe Biden has a lot to still vet through. I mean, he signed an executive order. There will be more refugees allowed into America. He will be trying to take a stand when it comes to the war in Yemen. But for President Biden to move forward, he's still going to have to get support of others. Do you think that he can do that moving forward, knowing that there is a segment of the population and Republicans who don't feel comfortable with strong foreign policy strategies?
Republicans are going to have to stand up. This is their time to showcase who they are and what their priorities are. Are they American priorities, or are they priorities of Russia, or are they priorities of these anti-Semitic tropes that we've seen from Republicans? What types of priorities do they have? Are they to strengthen this country? Are they to lead America again in being the guidepost for the rest of the world and the guidepost in democracy, that shining light? Or are they so insular? Are they so bothered and so driven by a lot of these conspiracy theories that and the QAnon folk that at this point they cannot be brought back? I think that this is a time where Republicans have to look within to showcase who they are to the American public, but also to the rest of the world. Joe Biden has a large task ahead of him, but again, it's not one that he's not built for. It's not one that his administration is not built for. However, it is also not his job to help Republicans clean up their own house. Right now, Republicans need to look within themselves, within their own leadership, and decide who they are, whether or not they are here for America or whether or not they are here to be that QAnon group, whether or not they are here to move America forward or whether or not they are here to continue to be separatists. That is the path that is ahead for the Republican Party.
And lastly, Ameshia, there have been cabinet confirmations. Let's talk about those. We've got a person of color, first LGBTQ confirmation. Tell us your thoughts on that.
This is really exciting. I have been a former Mayor Pete Buttigieg fan for a very long time, also another Midwesterner. I think that what we're seeing here is, in terms of President Biden, he is putting truth to power. He said that he was building his legacy around diversity. He said that his cabinet would be diverse. That means LGBT. That means you're going to have Latinos. That means that you're going to have African Americans in positions that they have never held before. It is crazy to me that for the Department of Defense in 2021, this is the first time we will ever see it be led by an African American. But I think that Lloyd Austin is an amazing person to lead that with over 30 years of experience in the military. He's led some of the most strategic action plans we've ever seen when it comes to our relationship with the Middle East, as well as parts of Asia and other areas. And I think that what we're seeing now is someone in Joe Biden who understands not only that diversity matters, but also that there are so many people of color and people from disenfranchised groups who could definitely lead. And I think that for the longest, throughout presidential administration after presidential administration, we have not seen these people being given their due justice when it comes to being elevated to positions of power and leadership. And I think that time is over. Joe Biden is speaking truth to power. He is showcasing that equity it matters. It's not just a talking point. And I think that says something about America and where we are, especially coming after the previous administration where white supremacy seemed to be the name of the game.